Hello friends, you must be eager to know how and where the Sanskrit classical plays were performed in those days. Well, we have one most authentic source of information, and that is the Natyashastra of Bharata, which was composed nearly 2500 years back. After the independence, a few theatre directors like Shanta Gandhi, Vidya-mitra and Govardhan Panchal attempted to recreate Bharata's tradition of Natya while staging the Sanskrit classical plays in the Vikrust Madhyam Natyagruha as described in the Natyashastra. These plays were performed while employing the elements of classical dance styles such as hand gestures and movements with classical music. The structure and forms of theatre buildings, in the absence of archaeological evidence, were reconstructed only on the basis of Bharata's Natyashastra, which is the literary evidence. Though the contemporary directors have tried to reconstruct the Natyamandapa on the basis of Natyashastra, its exploration for the new productions apart from classical Sanskrit plays is still lacking. Let's try to know about the Natyamandapa and Prekshagruha according to Bharata's Natyashastra. Bharat, in the second chapter of his Natyashastra, has described three types of theatre constructions. They are Vikrust or Ayat, rectangular, Chaturashra, square, and Trayashra, triangular. Each type is further divided into Jyeshtha, that is to say bigger, Madhyam, the middle, and Avar, the smaller. The floor area for the theatres is measured either in terms of hasta, which is 24 angul, or danda, which measures 4 hasta. The area measurements for the three types are 108 hast or the danda for a larger theatre, 64 for middling size, and 32 for a smaller one. Bharat says that the large theatre, the Jyeshtha, was meant for gods, the medium for the kings, and small for the others. The large theatre was meant for the plays with large number of participants, such as a Samavakar or a Deem depicting Devasura Sangram, the war between the gods and asuras. These play types were no longer to be heard after the time of Bharata, and that's why he recommends a medium-sized Madhyam theatre for the kings for staging plays depicting the doings of kings, such as Nataka, in which kings larger than life, even godly, were the heroes. The last, the small size, Kaniya, theatre was meant for the people. Bharat prefers, on the whole, the plan for a theatre of middling size, Vikrust Madhyam, and for the obvious reasons. In a very large theatre, the spectators, particularly in the last rows of the seats, will be too far away from the stage. They will not be able to see the facial expressions of the actors indicating different emotions. The spoken dialogue also will not be heard distinctly and clearly in the back portion of the auditorium, as the sound of the words and of the music may not be carried too far distance. The entire dramatic spectacle may, therefore, fail to distinctly visible and audible and lose its appeal to the audience. Hence, Bharat, with approval of middling-sized theatre construction in hasta measures, describes Vikrust Madhyam Natyagruh in full details. Now, let us see the different parts of Vikrust Madhyam Natyagruh. There are three major parts of Vikrust Madhyam Natyagruh. Ranga, the stage proper, measuring 16 hasta by 32 hasta, that is to say 24 feet by 48 feet. Nepatya, consisting of dressing rooms, Anga Rachana Khanda, measuring 16 hasta by 32 hasta, that is to say 24 feet by 48 feet. And the third one, Prekshagruha, auditorium of 32 hasta by 32 hasta, that is 48 feet by 48 feet. Now, we will discuss Ranga and its various parts. Rang means the stage proper, where the play is performed, which measures 16 hasta by 32 hasta, that is to say 24 feet by 48 feet. It has following sub-parts. Upanga, Rangapita. It is that portion of the stage which is nearer to the auditorium, and it measures 16 hasta by 8 hasta, that is to say 24 feet by 12 feet. It is the main acting area. In the modern terminology, it is known as downstage. The second part is Mattavarani, 2 square areas on the either side of the Rangapit, each having 4 pillars, one in each of its corners, which provide additional acting area, or we can say further acting area space, measuring 8 hasta by 8 hasta, that is to say 12 feet by 12 feet on both the sides of Rangapit. The third part is Rangashirsha. It is that portion of the stage which is nearer to the Nepatya, backstage, which measures 32 hasta by 8 hasta, that is to say 48 feet by 12 feet, and can be considered as a supplementary acting area space. In the modern terminology, it is known as upstage. The next one is Vedika. It is a platform placed on Rangashirsha, measuring 8 hasta by 8 hasta, that is to say 12 feet by 12 feet, which is 9 inch high from the stage surface, which is used for kutapa. Kutapa means orchestra to sit. In the first chapter, Vedika and Bhand are mentioned together. This platform is placed between the 2 doors meant for characters' entry and exit. The next one is Shadadaruka. Probably it's a pavilion, a mandap, raised on 4 pillars on the Vedika, made of 6 wood pieces. The roof, raised over 4 pillars, with Vedika as the 6th piece, which has its special function as an element further reinforcing the sound of musical quality. Probably it has a decorative value also. It could also provide a natural, ornate background for a court scene when a throne is placed on the Vedika. Now we will try to know about the 2 doors on the stage. 2 doors in the stage wall on either side of the Shadadaruk for the entry of actors and actresses to go to their respective dressing rooms. In the context of pravrutti, I mean to say the local color, it is mentioned that in the Avanti and Dakshinatya pravrutti, the entry of the characters was to be from the north door, that is, from the actor's left door, and in the Audramagdi and Panchali pravrutti, the entry was from the south door, that is to say, from actor's right. In either case, the exit would be by opposite door by which the entry has been made. The Kutab, that is to say orchestra, were to sit between these 2 doors. The next one, Pati and Apati. These are the curtains on the stage doors. Yavanika is a curtain between Rangapit and Rangashirsh. It is a fixed curtain and a permanent stage equipment. A Brahma Mandal, the center of the stage, is known as the Brahma Mandal because Brahma, the creator of Natyaved, was symbolically installed in its center, seated on his lotus seat. Bharat has spoken of drawing this mandala of 16 hasta square. In the middle of this mandala, 2 lines vertically and horizontally, that is to say, parallel to the sides, was to be drawn, and different gods were to be installed in the apartments made by these lines. Now we will discuss about Nepatya, the backstage. Behind the Rangashirsh, there is Nepatya, measuring 32 hasta by 16 hasta. That is to say, 48 feet by 24 feet, consisting of the dressing rooms for costuming and makeup, also used for other Nepatya karma, such as making and storing properties and costumes. Various subparts, upang of Nepatya are as follows. It is presumed that there must be 2 separate dressing rooms for the actors and actresses, with a wall separating them, because in those days the male characters were performed by the actors and the female by actresses. It is also presumed that as Nepatya Vidhi should not be directly visible to the audience, and the curtain on the dwar cannot totally hide this activity, particularly when it is drawn aside for various entries and exits, there must be another wall, Nepatya wall, to keep off Nepatya noises and sights, duly erected, leaving a fairly large passage, at least 6 feet wide, between this Nepatya wall and the stage wall, for easy movement of actors and large properties, with 2 doors or the openings at the extreme end of each side of Nepatya wall. Bharat also refers to two doors of the Nepatya group when he speaks about these doors. These must be two doors for entering directly into Nepatya group from outside the theatre building, one for the actors and another for the actresses. Now, we'll try to discuss about the Prekshak Niveshanam, the auditorium. The auditorium block measuring 32 hast by 32 hast, that is to say 48 feet by 48 feet, was meant for the audience. It had two levels, Dvibhumi, for sitting in the king's theatre of Vikrust type, and had tier sitting, Sopana Kruti Pithakam, in the people's theatre. In both, the levels were between the outer pillars. There was also one auditorium door, Jan Pravesh Dwar. The medium-sized theatre of the rectangular type was not confined only to the king's palace for staging Nataka, but also was meant for the commoners, where plays dealing with the lives of the heroes among the people were staged, like Prakarana, Prahasana, etc. But the sitting arrangement in both could not be the same, because the audience requirements for the both were different. Theatre of the king had beautiful seats, supit, made in rows, thariri, for the audience. There was a tradition of the king sitting on a throne during a performance. The chief queen and other members of the Antahapur sat by his side, and behind them sat the courtiers. Thus, on the Dvibhumi, two levels constructed on the main floor of the auditorium, these beautiful seats, supit, were placed in a row, tharini, according to the status. On the first level, on the throne would sit the king, and by his side, on the seats of various sizes, would sit his retinue. On the back side, on the higher level, would sit others whose view would not be marred, and yet they would not be sitting higher than the king sitting on the throne. In the people's theatre, there was a tier sitting, Sopana Kruti Pithakam, as found in the present day auditorium. Bharat has said that the theatres were to be constructed with bricks and wood, Ishtaka Darubhihi. The walls were to be made of bricks. After finishing the walls, the first pillar, Brahmana Stambha, and after that, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra pillars, and also the Mattavarani with 4 pillars, all of wood, were to be constructed along with other woodworks, Daru Karma, which includes first, Uha Pratyuha. Abhinav Gupta has attempted to explain these terms as some architectural elements, but it is vague. Perhaps these terms mean no more than what they literally suggest. After deliberation and finalization of relevant details, the woodwork should be so wrought as to create a pleasing patterns on the walls. Shal Bhanjika woman and tree motif. These were the supporting brackets holding the beams and were fixed on the sides of the wooden pillars. They were shaped like the shal bhanjikas on Sanchi Torana. It is presumed that these figures might have also served another purpose apart from bearing the weight, that of holding the lamps to light the stage and indeed the entire auditorium. The second one is Vyal. Bharat says the word Bahu Vyal Upashobhitam, decorated with many vyals. In Bharata's theatre, this vyal, probably the same sea vyal used on the outer wall of the temple theatres of Kerala to support the eaves, an architectural necessity, might have been used under the struts supporting the roof over the side passages formed between the rows of pillars and might have been made to rest on them. These struts were also help reduce the weight of beams. The next architectural element is Niryuh Kuhara. These projecting and recessed elements made on the wall were the ornamental designs which not only imparted the interior of theatre richness and beauty, but also served a very vital function, and that of breaking up the plain wooden surfaces and give them a texture of unevenness and roughness, which was a very important and necessary function from the point of view of acoustics. These uneven and textured surfaces help in the absorption of the sound and prevented it from being thrown back, which would result in echoes. The next one is Vedikam. Bharat has suggested Nana Grathita Vedikam. Vedikam is a decorative motif interwoven in different ways into design, which also had its own functions, that of breaking up the even monotonous surfaces and thus helping in enhancing the acoustic quality of the theatre. The next one is Chitra Jal Gavaksh. Gavaksh means go aksh, a cow's eye. So it was cow's eye shaped window, that is to say, an oval shaped window set in a projecting frame. Chitra Jal Gavaksha means cow's eye shaped laceted windows of different size, a kind of ornamentation which must have been used on the outer and inner surfaces of the walls, pillars in the theatre of Bharata, justifying his use of the words Nana Vinyas Sanyuktam Chitra Jal Gavakshakam. The next one is Sanjavan. Bharat has also used the word Nana Sanjavan Upetam as a part of Daru Karma, along with the words Sal Bhanjika and Vyal, the architectural elements supporting beams as well serving as decorative motif. Hence, it can be presumed Sanjavan was also a decorative element supporting the beam, a sort of weight-bearing element. From its shape, Sanjavan, a square, it could be the square capital on the top of the pillar over which would rest the beams, which would additionally be supported by Salbhanjika and Vyal. The next term is Supit Dharini. After having described the woodwork, means Daru Karma, to be executed such as Pratyuh, Salbanjika, Vyal, etc. Bharat says that in this Dvibhumi Natyamandap, beautiful seats were to made in the rows for the audience, which is already discussed in the context of sitting arrangement in King's Theatre. Kapotali Samakulam. Kapot means pigeon, and Kapotali means the row of pigeons, and Samakulam means agitated. That is to say, rows of agitated doors carved in the wooden beams, a kind of decorative motif which is found in the temple theatres of Kerala. Here one can notice on the wooden beams rows of doors carved in different postures of apparent agitation with their throats bulging out and all looking towards the stage. Its significance is lost in the context of the theatre. The last one is Kuttim. Kuttim means floor. It suggests the wooden floor of the auditorium made for acoustic reasons, which was laid in different designs to relieve the monotony of the flat surface. Before proceeding for the woodwork, Bharat insists that the surface of the rang, that is to say Rangashiraha, properly should be rubbed to give it high polish to make it look like the surface of a fine mirror. Shuddh Adarsh Talakaram. It must not be convex like a back of tortoise and that of a fish, which implies that the surface was to be smooth and completely even without any ups and downs. After the completion of Daru Karma, Kast Vidhi, Bharat asks the builders to set out to finish the walls, Bhiti Karma, in the context of which he further says that no pillars, no brackets, no windows, no corner or door should face a door. This he says from the point of view of unobstructed view of an entry or exit as well as of acoustic distinction. It is a common practice of the building architects to place doors and windows facing each other for the free crosswind to pass easily. But in theatre, the subtlest sound is vitally important, and wind would disturb this and make it indistinct, and hence this advice to construct door in a staggered order. The terms Vatayan and Nagdant also need to be explained. Vatayan. Bharat says that the entire Natyamandap should be Mand Vatayan Upeto. Vatayan means window. He further adds Nivart Dhir Shabda Bhaka, means the windows of the playhouse are to be small so that they would let in only gentle breeze or be almost breezeless. This breeze is further to be regulated by jal, lattice. This as well the staggered placing of the windows and doors would help to keep the sound of spoken words steady and also bring solemnity to musical notes. Gambhir Svarata Yena Kutapasya Bhavishyati. Nagadant. Nagadant was a peg in the shape of Nagas, cobra's fang, curved upwards and fixed on the upper parts of a pillar, which was to be used for a sword, an uttariya or a crown during the performance, as it could be hung from it without obstructing the view of a clear entry of another character. It may be presumed that the curtains on the two doors as well as the Yavanika hung between Rangpit and Rangashirsh must have been fixed on the ropes passing through the rings for easy movement, which could be tied tightly on the Nagadanta. After finishing the Bhitta Karma Vidhi, Bharat asked to proceed for Bhitti-lepa, Sudha Karma and Chitra Karma, which can be explained as follows. Bhitti-lep and Sudha Karma. After the construction of the walls, they were plastered. Bhitti-lep, which must have been made of sand and lime to protect the bricks walls from wear and tear and give them even surface. According to Abhinav Gupta, Sudha Karma was applying of thin and finer layer of plaster prepared laboriously from crushed and finely powdered conch shells, sand and other material, which clearly shows that Sudha Karma was not merely whitewashing as interpreted by several scholars. Chitra Karma. After the walls have been smeared with plaster and lime, made perfectly clean and beautifully plain, painting Chitra Karma should be executed. According to Bharat, in this painting should be depicted creepers, Natyamandapa, men, women and their amorous exploits. According to Abhinav Gupta, Natyamandapa suggests the amorous exploits of men and women and not the creepers. Bharat says that the Natyagruh should be Shail Guhakaro and Dvibhumi, which must be explained. Shail Guhakara. Bharat speaks of the theatre to be constructed in the form of a mountain cave, Shail Guhakar. When entered, it must have created a cave-like feeling. In the mountain cave-shaped theatre, the excellent acoustic quality can be created. The existing temple theatre of Kerala, Kuttampalams, testifies it. These are also constructed to look like a cave, Shail Guha, and have used wood chiefly as the building material in the manner of Bharata's theatre. Dvibhumi. The term Dvibhumi, meaning two levels, has been related to Natyamandapa, the entire theatre, but it may imply the two levels of the auditorium, two levels for sitting in the king's theatre, as explained earlier, or the two levels of the stage, the Rang and Vedika, and not two stores as interpreted by some scholars. Now we will discuss about the Chaturashra Natyagruh, the square theatre. After describing the construction of Vikrust Madhyam Natyagruh, the Chaturashra square type is dealt with. Bharat says that after carrying out all the auspicious rites, the ground should be measured 32 by 32 hasta, that is to say 48 feet by 48 feet. Its outer walls should be made with strong bricks, very thickly set together. And inside the stage, rang pit should be constructed. There should be 10 pillars over it to support the roof. Outside the pillars, the galleried seats, Sopanakruti Pitakam, should be constructed with bricks and wood, rising one hasta higher gradually so that the spectators would be able to witness the performance comfortably. Then 14 more pillars were to be erected. 6 strong pillars capable of supporting the roof in the interior of the playhouse and 8 more pillars by their side. The rang pit should be 8 by 8 hasta. Then the decorative woodwork should be carried out and the Natyamandapa should be constructed. There should be one door in the front wall of the Natyamandapa for the entry of the characters on the stage, and the other in the back wall of the Natyamandapa meant for the troupe. The third door should be in front of the stage in the eastern wall of the playhouse for the spectators, which is known as Jana Praveshanam. Bharat further says that 8 hasta square rangpit should be decorated with Vedika, which was also square and level. He also speaks of the Matavarani, which were to be constructed on this square stage according to the measurements indicated in the text, before which would be 8 by 8 hasta with pillars in each of the 4 corners of each of them. Each of the 2 Matavarani were to be constructed on the sides of the Vedika, which was not raised in the Vikrust Madhyam Natyagruha for Kutab. Hence, in this case, the musicians might be sitting on the stage floor itself. It might also be noted that the Rangshirsh is not mentioned while describing Chaturashra, as the stage was small, and to divide it into Rangapit and Rangshirsh would make it impracticable. Bharat also says that the decorative woodwork should be carried out on the pillars and the Natyamandapa should be constructed carefully. It may be noted that the total numbers of pillars and their arrangement is first time mentioned in the context of Chaturashra only. The last type is Trayashra, triangular type. Regarding Trayashra Natyagruha, the directions given by Bharat are minimum. Its stage was triangular, constructed in the center. The dimension given is 32 hasta each side. There was one door in the corner for the entry of the characters, and the other at the back of the Rangapit for the entry of spectators. As it has a small stage, neither Matavarani nor a Rangshirsh are mentioned. It was not practical to have them. It was used for the plays such as Bhan having only one character or Vithi having only 2 characters. The third type of theatre is Trayashra, the triangular theatre. Regarding Trayashra Natyagruha, the directions given by Bharata are minimum. Its stage was triangular, constructed in the center. The dimensions given is 32 hasta each side. There was one door in one corner for the entry of characters and the other at the back of the Rangapit for the spectators. As it has a small stage, neither Matavarani is mentioned nor Rangshirsh is mentioned. It was not practical to have both Matavarani and Rangshirsh. So, there was only Rangapit. And it was used for the plays such as Bhan or Vithi, having 1 or 2 characters respectively. So, this is all about the 3 types of theatre buildings described by Bharat Muni in his Natyashastra. These 3 kinds are rectangular, square and triangular. The question is, whether the contemporary directors are staging their plays in this type of theatre buildings or not. Friends, those who pursue the Natya tradition of Natyashastra, only those directors have performed Sanskrit plays in the Vikrust Madhyam Natya Guru, reconstructed on the basis of Natyashastra. But there are other directors also, like Ratan Thiyam, Kavalam Narayan Panikar, who borrow the elements from the traditional theatre form of their region and try to present the Sanskrit plays in a Lok-dharmi style of presentation. But they never try to recreate the Natyamandapa as described by Bharat Muni in his Natyashastra. For the simple reason, they have adopted a different kind of production style. Because now it is not essential to perform the Sanskrit plays only in the Natyamandapa described in the Natyashastra. So, if you want to direct a play and present it in the Natyamandapa, then you have to recreate according to Natyashastra only.